Hello everyone, this is N-GameArts. We're a continuation of my collection of PlayStation 4 games. This is part 6 of my several parts that I have made. I will provide a link in the description or at the end of the video that will take you to playlist to all my parts that I've uploaded so far. And let's just go ahead and jump into it. We're still continuing off with PlayStation 4 games. This is a limit run game. This is called Witchwood. I've yet to play this game. It does look interesting. What drew me the attention was that it's got like some crafting system and the graphics and stuff like that. I don't really know much about it, but it fascinated me. I like the aesthetic and everything like that. I don't know if there's any combat in the game. I think that there was something about it that drew my attention. And I haven't messed with it, so I don't know much about it. Moving on, we have Matterfall. This is another Housemarque physical copy. It's a game that, it was like one of their last games that they came out with, like with Resogun and stuff like that, which we still need a physical copy of Resogun. But it's actually fairly good. It's a 2D side-scroller, but it's like an action platformer, kind of shoot 'em up. It's got the flair of Housemarque, lots of action, lots of blasts. If you're looking for a physical copy of some Housemarque games before they made like Returnal or whatever they're working on now, here's a classic game from them. It's pretty good. It's not the greatest game, but it's not necessarily a bad game either. But I can understand why they were struggling, and they said that they had to start leaving these kind of smaller games because they just weren't selling. And they had to start focusing on some kind of narrative, because a lot of the games were more of an arcadey, like, inspired, whether it's like Resogun, which is like inspired from Defender, or Stardust, which was heavily inspired from like Asteroids. I don't know what this was inspired from, but regardless, I can see why they were like hurting, and they had to make decisions to change up their development of game approach. Moving on, we have Never Awake. It's a shoot 'em up style game. It looks very interesting. This is a Asian import. That's currently the only way you can be able to get this copy. I luckily got this copy because the physical copy like sold out. I don't know if it's back in stock again at Play Asia, but I messed around with it a little bit. It's definitely unique looking in terms of its shoot 'em up. It's like a full joystick shooting style where enemies are coming at you in any direction. So it does look interesting, but I haven't messed around too much with it. Moving on, It Takes Two. I have yet to play it. It is a multiplayer game, and I personally don't have much people to play games with. So, I'm hoping one day, if I ever meet the right person or something like that, they would like to enjoy playing this game with me, because I would definitely like to mess around with this. I've heard it's very good. I know it won like Game of the Year, and I'm happy to have it on my shelf. I just hope one day I can sit down and play it with somebody. Moving on, we have Ion Fury. This is a boomer shooter style game. Now, this is the limit run version of the game. Sadly, there is a PAL version of this game, but the PAL version has an update for the game, while this US limited run version, if I recall, does not have any updates available. But why it's important about that update is that the PAL version stutters. It's got this stuttering effect that goes on in the game. And for a game like a boomer shooter where it's high speed, high action, you really can't have some random stuttering. Well, this one has the update to fix that issue on disc. So it is disappointing that the PAL version is now this inferior version. I mean, yeah, if you can up the game, fine. But I don't update my games. I play only what's on disc. So this is the superior version you should try to get if you're into boomer shooters. It's good, but it's got some of its issues, like no weapon wheel, and it's got a bunch of weapons and stuff like that. So it can be kind of cumbersome to try to find the exact weapon you want to use. Moving on, Clad. I've heard both of them in terms of name. This is a visual novel. It's a very popular visual novel. I do have the anime of this. It's a very sad story, and it's got some twists and turns, and it's got a typical visual novel. I don't collect too many of these kinds of games, but I did like the story from this, and I saw this opportunity to get it because I was like ordering a bunch of Play Asia games, and I went ahead and picked it up. It does have English support, and it's a very, very good game. Although there is like a secret ending, but I remember trying super hard to try to get the secret ending. I just couldn't get it to work. I don't know if it's bugged or something like that, or I'm just messing up. I didn't use a walkthrough or anything. I'm sure I probably, if I used a walkthrough, I would be able to find a secret, like, extended ending to the game. But in the end, glad I have it on my shelf. Moving on, we got Chronos Arc. This is one of those games I was talking about where Limited Run is abusing the collective community by releasing individual physical copies. Like I said, I bought a few of them, and I still buy occasional one that grabs my attention. But this is definitely one I probably regret picking up, because I definitely, at the time, didn't realize that how much Limited Run was going to abuse this by not just putting them all on one disc. But it's a JRPG. Maybe one day I'll play it. Another interesting one is Chocobo Dungeon. Everybody, it's a very interesting game because it's like a dungeon crawler style game where you play as a chocobo and you change your job class and you keep going deeper in this dungeon to unlock more items and gear and experience. Funny enough, this game is only available in Asia. It's a Japan import, but the game has full English as well as English voice acting. It's a very good game. It's well worth the time to put on your shelf. It's a very unique, and if you're a big fan of these kinds of dungeon crawlers, or you're a big fan of Square Enix or any kind of Final Fantasy themed stuff, do not overlook this, because again, it's fully English support and English menus. So I'm glad I have it. It's just weird that they didn't release that outside in the PAL region or in the US. Moving on. Kingdom of Amalur: Re-Reckoning. Again, THQ Nordic. This game, it has like some of the expansions and DLCs and stuff like that on the disc. I know they did another DLC bonus for this one. It is an interesting story about Kingdoms of Amalur. The original developers went under because the game didn't sell very well, and they owed money to, like, I think Salt Lake City, and they were fined heavily because they couldn't pay back their debt. So the rights got sold off to THQ Nordic, and they re-released it. Sadly, this game has some issues. Again, it's kind of buggy because THQ Nordic is notorious about releasing half-baked games, and the philosophy of release it now, fix it later. As well as the game is extremely dark. Even if you turn up all the brightness, it's still super dark. They actually had to update the game to turn up the brightness because the game is so dark. Why that got past again, it's just THQ Nordic. They're just notoriously bad at releasing done working finished games. That's why I usually buy theirs used or something like that, or very cheap. Kena, the Bridge of Spirits, the Deluxe Edition for PlayStation 4. I know this was originally more of a PlayStation 5 game, but I hunt down PS4 games. I've yet to play it. I don't know anything about it. I've heard some mixed things about it, whether it's really good or... I don't know. The problem sometimes is not knowing when is it good from both being updated or is it good not being updated. That's the hard part. Most people update the games. Again, I don't care. I don't do that. So that's why I'm hesitant, because it's from Maximum Games, but I know Sony did help fund the project too. So it's kind of like in that gray area of wondering how the quality is. It does look adorable and it looks really cute, and I want to sit down and play it at some point. But I'm always hesitant playing Maximum Games. I covered the sequel to this, Katamari Damacy Reroll. This is the first game I was talking about. It's a remaster kind of remake of the first game for PlayStation 4. I actually have never played a Katamari Damacy game. I've heard many, many good things about it. I just don't know why. I just have yet to sit down and try it out. I mean, I've messed around with it, and it seems really, really, really interesting and really, really weird. But for the most part, I would definitely glad to have this on my shelf, and I'm glad to have the sequel, the PS4 version, on my shelf too. Moving on, we got Killzone Shadowfall. Definitely the weakest in terms of the Killzone franchise. Not necessarily a bad game, but it's definitely one of the weaker ones. Now, I don't have too much memory of playing this one. Back when I was playing the launch of PlayStation 4, you had like Resogun, Knack, and Killzone Shadowfall. And I was mostly playing Knack. I could not put Knack down. Now, when I was done with Knack, I mostly only played the multiplayer on Killzone Shadowfall, which was really, really good. I really enjoyed the online multiplayer of this game at the time. That's before I was doing YouTubing and doing a bunch of offline gaming stuff and everything like that. But, again, I'm happy to have it on my shelf. Really, we just need a collection of all the classic Killzone games on a physical copy. While this is maybe the weakest in Link, it's not necessarily a bad game. And it's still a very good-looking game, too. Moving on, again, the game I played the most at the launch of PlayStation 4 was Knack 1. I legitimately put over 100 hours into this game. I greatly enjoy Knack. I don't understand why it got so much hate. Now, I understand that why it's got problems in terms of full price at the time, and again, your budget, and then what this offers, I get it. But I still enjoyed the game. I really loved it. And I'm happy to have a physical copy on my shelf. And I'm thankful that we also got a sequel to this, which isn't crazy because how much hate this game got. But I get it. It's a tech demo, but something unique about it. I really, really enjoyed Knack. Moving on. Oh boy. This is my #1 most favorite survival horror game of all time. I've talked about it before. I'm wondering if you can guess what it is. And that is Alien Isolation. This is a phenomenal game. I love this. This is the greatest survival horror game ever created. It's got the feeling of survival. It's got the feeling of being stalked by an unstoppable monster. I do like the progression system in the game. It does have problems, like sometimes it could be a little obtuse to figure out what you need to do, and I'm not a big fan of the human enemy aspects of the game, but I love the working Joes. I love the alien. He's terrifying. I have played this multiple times. This is the only game I've actually ever played mostly updated because I want to play the game on the highest difficulty, and I've beaten it on the highest difficulty like 3 times. I have the Switch version. There was no way I was going to pass up the opportunity. I've been wanting to play the Switch version as well. And as well as I did buy this on PC, which is very uncommon because I most time do not buy AAA games digitally at all. But I wanted to support this. I want a PS5 version of this game so badly. Please give me a PS5 version of this game. I would love to play it in VR too. If there's only one game I want to play in VR, it's this. Moving on, we have Deadpool. This is the PS4 remastered that they did. This originally first came out on PlayStation 3. And my brain went a little numb there. I bought this used. I came across a really good cheap copy. It's going pretty expensive at the now. I think I paid $20 or $25 for this. And it's going for like $60 nowadays for a used copy. I've yet to play it. I know this comes with like the DLCs and stuff like that on disc, so I'm glad to have it on my shelf. I've yet to play it, so I don't know much about it. Moving on, we have Mafia Trilogy set. This was only available as an import, where you get Mafia Definitive Edition, Mafia 2 Definitive Edition, and Mafia 3 Definitive Edition all in one set. I think they had a US version, but it was like only available digitally. And here's all 3 games. I'm sorry, you may be hearing lawn mowing in the background. My neighbors are probably mowing their lawn, so I was hoping that they would have been done by now, because they were doing it all day this morning. But in the end, I have yet to play any of it. It is a open world kind of style game, but I did play a little bit of the first one, and I like the fact that you got to ignore the open world aspect. You just did like campaign quests. That was enjoyable. I'm glad that they implemented that neat idea for it. But I haven't played either the second or third one. Moving on, we have Call of Duty Black Ops 3. This is fully playable offline. There are a few Call of Duty games that can be played completely offline with an unregistered account, and this is one of them. All the games that I know that can be played offline Call of Duty is Call of Duty 3, Call of Duty Remastered, Call of Duty Ghost, and Call of Duty Affinity War. And there's one more. I believe there's one more. But those are all the games you can play offline. This is one of the few. This has multiplayer. It's got bots. It's got aliens, or zombie invasion things. So I'm not the biggest when it comes to Call of Duty, but I don't hate them either. Now, I do hate what Activision has done with them now with physical copies, where they don't put the games on the disc and give you like a launcher that you have to download. And now people are going really stupid and acting like that's how all games work. That one Call of Duty game comes out with the content not on the disc. Now every game, apparently, the people thinks that the content isn't on the disc, which is just insane to me, of that kind of leap of logic. But in the end, I'm glad to have it on my shelf. I've been wanting to pick up the other ones since there are the last few games currently that has the content on disc. Dirt 4, the Day 1 edition. I bought this one. I actually really enjoyed the Dirt games, at least for the most part. I don't know, I really enjoyed rally racing. I just love that feeling of trying to bob and weave and try to turn and curve. It's been a long time since I've played this, but I happen to have it on my shelf. Moving on, we have Don't Starve Mega Pack. Now, this is the reprint version of the game. If you don't know, when this first came out, there was issue at the printing places where they printed the wrong version of the game, which only came with the multiplayer, while it was supposed to come with the single player and the multiplayer and a bunch of other little content stuff, but it only came with the multiplayer. And it was even outdated too. So you had to send your proof that you've bought the game, and the company, Clay Entertainment, would send you a new physical copy to replace it. They would even send you the entire whole new game, and you got to keep the original one as well. So this is kind of rare. They only did it for about a year, but if you're wondering how to figure out which one is the correct version you want to buy, if you look here, look at the data size install. The reprint here says 3 gigabytes, while the misprint version will have like a few megabytes or something like that. I think it's like 200, 300 megabytes, something like that. Just look for the copy. It says 3 gigabytes on the back of the box. Make sure you check that to make sure you're getting the actual correct version. I don't think there's anything changed on the disc. I can't recall. So just keep that in mind. Moving on. We got Doki Doki Literature Club, the Japan version here. I've covered this game before. I've covered the American version and the US version. If you don't know, both the US version and the Japan version on PS4 is censored. The only reason I kept the Japan version compared to the US version is that the US version has some weird little icon that let you know the game's auto-saving, while the Japan version doesn't have that. And it really breaks the immersion. But for the most part, I don't recommend buying any of these. I recommend picking up the Switch version, because the Switch version is uncensored, which is very odd to say that Nintendo's console version is the uncensored version of the game. I'm hoping the lawnmower is not going to be too loud for you guys in the background. Alright, moving on. We got Dodgeball Academia. I've yet to play this game. It looks like a dodgeball sports kind of RPG kind of style game. Overall, I haven't messed around with it. It looks really neat. I like the concept. I like the idea, and I really would like to spend more time with it. Moving on, we have Children of Xandrix. It's a limited run game. Now, this isn't part of that like RPG, JRPG thing that they're abusing. I haven't played this. I know it's like a tactical based game. I bought it because, again, it's a tactical turn-based RPG, and that always grabs my attention, so I picked it up. I know nothing about it. Moving on, we got Tiandang, The Legend of Tiandang. Sorry. It is a Metrovania set in like a Japanese, China. I said Japanese. I think it's Chinese universe. And you play as like sort of like a version of Robin Hood, if I recall. It's a Metrovania, and I know there's no English. I know the game has English, but it doesn't have like English voice acting. And again, this is from Lemon Run. There is a Asia import version. I don't know if there's any difference between them, but it's a Metrovania, so I immediately picked it up. Next copy, we have Kingdom Majestic. This comes with Kingdom 1 and Kingdom New Lands and Kingdom 2 Crowns all on one disc. It's a very interesting and neat game, concept-wise. I used to have the first game from Limited Run, and that game is already now outdated, because if you pick this one up, you got both 2 games, and the first game is more updated than compared to the Limited Run version. So it's a very neat, interesting game. I like the idea of it. There are some little issues that I had with it, but I did enjoy it, and it was surprising. Mechroids is another company that kind of is a little iffy on its physical releases, but this was a good one, and I do recommend it. If you're interested in the neat concept of the game, and a simplistic game too at that, check this out. Moving on, we got Little Big Planet 3 Day 1 Edition. I've never been the biggest in terms of Little Big Planet games, and I do admit this is probably the weakest of the lot, but it just disappointed me. We have yet to see like a remaster remake of the first 2, and what upsets me is that, yes, this is awesome that this game allows you to play the levels people created from 1 and 2 on this one, but the problem is there's a campaign mode in both the first and second one that is actually fairly good. So it's disappointing me while we have this, it's disappointing that we're going to be losing to 1 and 2, and there's no attempt to bring them into newer consoles. So I really hope that Sony at some point will remaster or remake the first 2 games. But in the end, it's still a good pickup if you enjoy a little bit playing it. I do know that the physical copy here is a little buggy on disc. I don't know if it's that big of an issue. I can't recall, but I do recall some issues about it. Moving on, we got Marsupilami, the Hoob Adventure. It's another Metroid game. I got this game like ridiculously cheap. I got it for like $3 or $5 or something like that. I remember posting about it, letting people know, hey, if you're interested in pick it up. I've yet to play it. It's a side-scrolling style game. I know it's like a remaster of another classic game of the same character, but I don't really know much about it. We got Magica 2. This is a limited run game. This is another game where you play like some co-op and you're shooting spells and stuff like that. That's all I really know about it. I haven't really spent much time with it. I know it's kind of like a slapstick kind of humor kind of game. And again, it's a top-down, twin-stick shooter kind of style, and you're like combining spells, and then you have other players, and they're shooting their spell, and you shoot your spell, and it turns into crossing the streams to make your special spell kind of stuff, if I recall. But again, I'm happy to have it on my shelf. Moving on, we have Little Witch Nobeta. I heard it's like a Souls-like style game. I heard it's quite difficult. I have yet to play it. I've heard some mixed things about it. Some people said it's good. Some people say it's got some issues. So I hope to someday sit down and play it, because it looks interesting. It's cute. I think the main character looks really, really cute. So I won't lie, that's the kind of reason why I bought it. And I just figured it was going to probably become some collectible at some point. We have Little Nightmares 1 and 2. This is a PAL import that came with 2 games, I believe on 2 discs. Yeah. We got Little Nightmares 2 and Little Nightmares 1. Sadly, this is not an updated version of each game. They're just still both are still the vanilla version of the game on disc, and the first one does not come with any of the DLC stuff on disc. If you want the most updated, best version of the first game physically, look into the Switch version. There's a PAL import of that one that comes with all the content on cartridge. But I picked this up, and I thought, because I like bundles like this, and I do enjoy Little Nightmares, so it's a neat cosmic kind of side-scrolling horror game, but it's kind of like, it doesn't got the same feeling of like a jump scare tense game. It just feels uncomfortable. Next one, we got Code Vein. This is another kind of like anime-esque Souls-like style game. I have yet to play it. I heard good things about it, actually. So I hope to mess around with it at some point. I don't know how the game runs on base vanilla disc. I haven't heard much about it, but in the end, I picked it up. I'm pretty sure I got it at a fairly cheap price. Moving on, we got Castlevania Anniversary Collection. This comes with several Castlevanias on this physical copy. Now, this was from Limited Run Games. Again, I'm pretty happy to have it. I'm happy to have a complete collection of like Castlevania classic games. I'm just disappointed it's only from Limited Run. It means it's going to be quite difficult to get a copy down the road. And it just disappoints me, because a game like this shouldn't be a limited number of copies. It should be widely available. They're just classic old games. So, again, if you love Castlevania, that's a must pick up. Next up, we got Burnout Paradise Remaster, my most favorite Burnout game, which is surprisingly, because I do not enjoy open world games, but I really, really enjoy this game. The game comes with all the DLCs and expansions on disc. The last time I played it, though, I messed around with it on my PS5, and I did notice some audio issues. I might need to come back to it and check it out again, but overall, I still played and worked pretty good. I really, really enjoyed this game. I love the open world. I love just driving, jumping off ramps and stuff like that, doing stunts. I don't know. It's very weird that how I enjoyed this game, even though I'm not a big fan of open world games. Moving on, we got Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, which comes with Mega Man 7, 8, 9, and 10 on one disc. I am a fan of Mega Man, so I'm happy to have this physical copy on my shelf. It's just classics. Now, why this is really important to get, while 7 and 8 have physical copies, 9 and 10 were only available for the longest time digitally. This is the only way you can get Mega Man 9 and 10 on a physical disc. So that's why it's definitely worth to try to hunt down this physical copy, because at least the other ones, you can get the actual cartridge or some other means, or from other collections that came out like on PlayStation 2 or GameCube. But if you want Mega Man 9 and 10, you have to buy the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 for them. Moving on, we got Mega Man Legacy Collection, the first one, which comes with Mega Man 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, all on one disc. Happy to have it. It's a great collection to have on my shelf. I'm a fan of Mega Man, so why wouldn't I have this on my shelf? They're definitely difficult games if you're not used to the challenges of the older games, but still a lot of fun. Moving on, we got Medieval. Now, I'm happy to have that this remake of a classic game. The only issues I have with this is that, A, this only comes with the first game. While we had things like the Spiral Collection and the Crash Collection, which came with 3 games on one disc, this is from Sony and they only released 1 game on one disc. Come on. There's 2 games in the series, and I think there are some few on the PSP, but I'm not sure if those were remakes or remasters, but it's just disappointing that we only had 1 game and we have yet to see the sequel get a remake. Also, this does, when you beat the game, you do actually get the original PlayStation 1 game on disc as well. So that's really cool. But a second thing I want to warn you about is when you pop this game in and you're connected to the internet, the game will not let you play it unless you update the game. Now, this is not true. A lot of people will believe that means that the game's not on the disc. That's not true. If you disable your internet and then pop the game in and install it, then you can play the entire game completely offline with an unregistered account. For some reason, these developers made you have to download the update to be able to play the game. Even though I played it, I even have a video available on my channel if you want to watch it, where I completely played the game completely offline with an unregistered account, and I never touched the internet, and I completely beat the game. So, I don't know why they did that, but just keep that in mind. Don't let people believe that that game requires a download to work. Next up is Jak 3. I am not a fan of Jak 2 and 3. I played a little bit of Jak 2. I did not enjoy it. I had never played Jak 3. Many people told me it's like Jak 2, so I have absolutely no interest in playing it. I only like the first one. This is obviously the downfall of Naughty Dog. I know some people really do not like my opinion on that. I don't really care. This is my videos. These are my game collection, and I'm going to tell you what I think. And I think Naughty Dog are not that good of a developers. Their last time they made anything interesting was Jak 1, and that's how I stand, and I'm going to stand on that hill to the day I die. Now, hopefully they can prove me wrong. Maybe their next game will be a knockout of the park for me. But Jak 1 is the last game I actually even cared about, and I've never played Jak 3, so I have no opinions about that game. Kingdom Come Deliverance, the Royal Edition. It's an open world game, so I haven't really played it. And disappointingly, this does not come with everything on disc. It's missing one of the DLCs. Which one was it? It says it requires an internet connection to download when available, which is like one of the games. The Woman's Lot, that's it. The Woman's Lot is not on disc, but everything else is on disc. It's a good collection of games. If you really like to go back into the medieval points of history where there's no monsters or anything like that, but you have that belief in the systems and stuff like that. It's an interesting game. I mean, I don't care to play it because it's open world, but moving on, we got Metro Exodus, a game that I do enjoy, but again, it's another open world game. But it's not as bad as other games. I came close to beating it, but I stopped playing it. I have the PS5 version now. I definitely would like to run through this game again with the PS5 version. Again, Metro games are actually pretty good. They're like a semi-half survival horror-ish style game. It's got neat concepts and story and graphics. So, again, I played it and then I fell out of it. Moving on, we got Bridge Constructor Compilation, which comes with Bridge Constructor Portal, Bridge Constructor, and Bridge Constructor Stunts. This comes with 3 games on one disc. I picked this up. It's only available in the PAL region. I'm happy to have it because I do love these kind of puzzle-esque style games. If you like these kinds of games, this is definitely a must pick up. You basically build a bridge to get across and complete that level. I know, it's kind of cool. Moving on, we got Bulletstorm, the Full Clip Edition. I've never played it. I know it came out like on 360 and PS3. Did it come out on PS3 or was this a 360 exclusive? Can't really remember. I don't know if Duke Nukem's on the disc. Is this a redeem code? It's a redeem code, so he's probably not on disc. But again, it adds gun. I don't know. I just picked it up. I know this was a used copy. I'm happy to have it on my shelf. It's a first-person shooter. Moving on, we got Gran Turismo Sport. This is Gran Turismo. It's a racing car simulator. Disappointingly, this does require an internet connection to be able to like save your progress and do a bunch of other stuff. This is the downfall of Gran Turismo and the downfall of Plisol Digital. They've become Sony's worst studio, by my opinion, just because now their games require internet connections for stupid ass reasons. For like, it's to prevent cheaters. That's such a stupid reason. But anyway, moving on from that. Again, I had played it. I did enjoy what I could play offline, but again, I don't even care that they update this to remove that internet requirement. Does not matter. It's not on disc. If they want to release it and then put it on that update on disc, then we can start talking. But right now, they epically failed with this. Moving on, we have Celeste. This is the fan gamer version of the game. This is the superior version of Celeste. If you want a physical copy, look for the fan gamer version. There is a limited run version of this game. I don't recommend it, as the fan gamer version is more up to date, but that necessarily means that the limited run version is bad or broken or anything like that. But the fan gamer version is the best version. This is an amazing, good precision platformer style game. It's got a good story, good music, good environment, great graphics. It's well worth a pickup. Do not overlook picking up Celeste. Just look for the fan gamer version of the game. Next up, we have Abuzu. This is like a cozy, relaxed style game where you're diving underneath the ocean to explore the ocean. And it's not just the ocean. There are some like main otherworldly things going on in the game. It's very good. It's just more of a chill, relaxed game. I do recommend it, but I wouldn't spend a big bucks on it, because it's only basically a one and done style game. Moving on, we have A Way Out, which is another game from like the versions of Take-Two where you play as a multiplayer. It has to be played with multiplayer, where you're working together. I bought this used. I spent $27 for this. It was getting kind of rare, so I'm happy I was able to find a copy and add it to my shelf. Again, I'm hoping one day I'll be able to get somebody to play with it on it. It's a multiplayer style game. Moving on, we got God of War Remaster 3. I love the original God of War games. I personally feel that they are largely better than the reboots that they have done. I don't have much interest in the newer series of games. I haven't even bought the newer God of War game. I bought this, and I've platinumed all the God of War, the classic ones, and I'm happy to run through this game again. I know I just covered it on my channel. I love God of War. I love the original games. They're a must pick up and play whenever you can get a chance. Moving on, we have Gravity Rush Remaster. This is the PSP game that got ported, or PS Vita, sorry, that got ported over to the PS4. I'm really glad they did, because again, I can't really play handhelds for very long. Again, I've played a good portion of it, but I haven't beat it. I came close. But it's a very interesting and neat game. There's a sequel, which is very good as well, for my opinion. And I've heard this is getting quite rare, so pick it up if you can, because it's a very good game. Moving on, we got Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remaster. Like I said before with the other previous Call of Duty game, this is a very good physical copy that will work just fine offline with an unregistered account. Again, I bought this used. Let's see, Call of Duty. I spent $17 on this. Again, this will work and play completely offline with an unregistered account. You have bots and everything like that, so it's definitely a must pick up if you're a fan of Call of Duty. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan, but I'm happy to have more games that can be played completely offline with an unregistered account on my shelf. Moving on, we got Reverie Knights Tactics. This is a PAL import version. It's a tactical-based style game, so it got my attention immediately for that. I don't know much about it. I've yet to play it, but it looks interesting. It's a tactical-based style game, so I know I'm going to enjoy that aspect of it. And I know it's only available in the PAL region, so maybe it'll become a collectible, a rare collectible on my shelf. I don't know. Just looks interesting. Next one, we have Atelier Maria Remake, The Alchemist of Somberg. This is like a remake of a classic of the Alchemy Atelier games. This is only available as an Asian import. I have yet to play it. I know it's more of a relaxed style game where you just brew up potions and craft items and stuff like that. It's not really meant to be like a giant JRPG exploration story mode. But again, I picked it up and I'm glad to have it on my shelf. We got Skeletak. This is a Metrovania from Konami. This is from Limited Run Games. I picked it up because it's a Metrovania. I heard actually bad things about it, but man, Even when I hear bad stuff about a Metroidvania, I'm like, it's a Metroidvania. I want to play it. I want to see why is it bad? Because honest to God, I've never played a bad Metroidvania. The only one I could probably say is the worst Metroidvania I've ever played would be Metroid Prime Remastered, or just Metroid Prime from the GameCube game. It's probably the worst Metroidvania I've ever played, but that's probably in first person mode, so we might be able to say that's a Metroidvania FPS, while this is still a 2D side-scrolling style game. So I have yet to come across a bad classic 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania. I'm hoping to play this at some point. I would like to see why some people are very mixed about it. Moving on, we have Black Book, which is like a interesting style game where you play as a witch and you got like this evil book and you can summon demons and stuff like that. And it's a card-based style game, and you're kind of like a branching off paths, and you choose as you progress. It seems interesting. I played a little bit of it. It looks really, really good, and I hope to be able to play it more at some point. Moving on, we have Smelter, which is a game that combines a Metroidvania with a RTS style game. It's inspired from another game called like Arc Riser or something like that, Arc Risen. It's from the Super Nintendo. I've played it, I've covered it, it's fairly good. I 100% complete the game. I think I even platinumed it. This is only available in the PAL region. I'm happy to have it on my shelf. It's not a bad game, but it's not the greatest game either. I really enjoyed it. I recommend checking out my video if you want to see more about the game. Moving on, we have Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. I've actually have never played any of these Battle Networks of Mega Man games because they were only available on a handheld. So when I saw this was a must pick up for me because I love Mega Man games, and I heard this is like a card-based, tactical-based style game, which infuriated me back in the day as a kid because I couldn't play handhelds, and secondly, I love tactical games even back when I was a kid. So knowing the fact this was a card game and a tactical game and it's Mega Man and I can't get to play it drove me crazy. So I'm super, super happy that Capcom released this collection. I definitely would like to sit down and play it at some point. It just, since now there's so many games, I don't really know where to start. Metroid Machine, this game I bought in a really bad shape, and well, it's in, actually, let me correct myself. I bought this brand new day one, and it's in a bad shape because I hate this game. This is the game I actually spent like full price. It's like one of those weird games. I did do that because I loved Micro Machines when I was a kid. This game's awful. Do not buy this game. It's not good. I don't even want to go into full details why it's all messed up. Is I cared nothing for this game. I took its case and replaced it with another game to fix its case. I stuck this game's cover art and one of those thin Blu-ray cases because I did not care about this game. Do not buy it. The only reason I have it on my shelf is just so I can look at it and remember why I should never buy a game at full price day one. We have Lethal League. This is like a multiplayer style game where you're like sort of like doing dodgeball. I'm a little it's okay. It's not the greatest in my opinion because it's just the ball bouncing around. It's just doesn't feel like you have a lot of control of what's going on in the game. But for me, again, I'm happy to have it on my shelf. It's an interesting like party game that you could probably do. Alright. 2 Last of Us games from Naughty Dog. I mean, this is rough because I feel like people are getting really mad at me about hating Naughty Dog games. I am not a fan of Naughty Dog. I am not a fan of the Last of Us games. I've never played Last of Us Part 2, so I have no opinion about it. I've played Last of Us Remastered, and I don't like Ellie. Ellie drives me insane. The only thing I would want to see from the second one is to watch Ellie die. I've heard that Joel dies in it, and that doesn't bug me. I just want to see Ellie die. That's all I want. That's all I want. I don't really care. I've heard some people complain about some lady named Abby. Abby will be my hero if she kills Abby. That's all I care about. Abby will be my hero if she gets to kill Ellie. That's all I want. Again, I have this on my shelf. I've only played these games. I don't know. I don't care. It's Naughty Dog. Can we move on, please? Moving on, this is another really good game, Mages of Mysteria. It's an interesting cel-shaded graphic style game. It's where you can get to combine spells and do these neat little effects across the field. And you could, like I said, you're combining certain elements and stuff and creating new spells. I really enjoyed this game, which is crazy. A lot of people are not talking about this game. It's really, really good. It was from Limited Run. I really recommend looking into this game. I actually really enjoyed this game. Excuse me. I've been wanting to replay it actually. Moving on, we got Mega Man 11, the physical copy. Happy to have more Mega Man games on my shelf. I've actually have yet to play it. Like I said, I love Mega Man, but I have to be in the mood for Mega Man. And it's Mega Man. What do you want from me? Moving on, we got Shadowrun Trilogy. This again is like an RPG kind of tactical based style game. I've been wanting to play it. I've heard many good things about the Shadowrun Trilogy games, and this comes with 3 of them all on one disc. It was from Limit Run, so I could not pass it up. I've been wanting to play this game, but I know this game is a massive dedication to be able to play it. It's like a kind of like Baldur's Gate and stuff like that. You create your character, you check your history and class and race, and then you do a big old journey and stuff like that. Again, it's a dedication. Moving on, we got Catherine Full Body, the PAL version. When I ordered this, I actually ordered the US version, or I think I actually ordered the PAL version because it was like only $11 or something like that. But I picked it up. I have yet to play. I played the original first release on PlayStation 3. I've yet to play the full body version of the game. I don't think there's anything different between the US version and the PAL version, but I picked it up. It's a very good game. It's got neat puzzles and stuff like that, and a neat story premise. Just, man, dedicating the time to play it. Moving on, we got Castlevania The Advance Collection. Rises became available. Of course, I picked it up because I love Castlevania style games. I have yet to play any of these Castlevanias because they're handheld games, so I never got to play them. So I've been wanting to mess around with it. I only chose one cover art, and this was the one I think it looked the best. It had this retro look to it, and I thought it looked the coolest. Again, I wish it wasn't like a limited run release. I wish it was a wider release for people, so that way if they want to play this game, they don't have to try to spend big buku bucks to pay for limited print runs. But again, I'm happy to have it on my shelf. Moving on, we have the next one. We have Castlevania Requiem, which comes with Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood, all on one disc. Again, it's another Castlevania set of games, so I'm happy to have it on my shelf. I've only played Symphony of the Night. That's the only Castlevania game I've actually fully sat down and played to beginning and end, and I really enjoyed it. So that's what got me into the Castlevania series. And I'm not talking about when I played Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I'm talking about the PS1. I am talking about the PS1, but I played the PS1 like on the PlayStation 3. I was not there like day one or within the PlayStation 1 or PS2 era. I came way later for Symphony of the Night. But Symphony of the Night, very, very good Metroidvania. Moving on, we got Chasm, which is another Metroidvania, but it's a random generating rogue, like, it's not a roguelike, but it's randomly generating Metroidvania level. It's okay. The only problem is the level designs are a bit repetitive and generic since it is a random generator, but it's a cool concept and idea, and I did beat it and finish it pretty good, good portion of it. I did beat it. And then, again, I'm happy to have it on my shelf. It has its ups and downs. Last one, we have Bigadine, Burgundyne, The Legend of Rumora. I know this is a PS1 game, and it's basically a remastered remake of a PS1 game that's pretty expensive now. I've been wanting to get it on my shelf for quite a while. So when I saw this available, I picked this up. There is a limited run version. This is the PAL version. I don't know if there's any difference between the limited run and the PAL version, but I was not there day one to pick up the limited run version, so hopefully the PAL version is a better version than the limited run version. But I've been wanting to play it because it's like a tactical turn-based kind of style game, which is my favorite. It's my favorite genre. So, again, I'm really happy to have it on my shelf. So that's the last of this video. This is part 6. We still got so many more parts to go through. We still got so many more games to go through of 700 plus games. We just went through 60 plus games here. And thank you for sitting down watching it. Like I said before, I do have several other parts behind before this one. If you'd like to check that out, I provide links in the description or at the end of the video of the playlist. You can check out every video I've done so far. So again, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next a video of this collection of games. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.